video. Drake May.
You're listening to the Patriot Nation Podcast.
All right, welcome into another edition of the Patriot Nation Podcast. As always, a proud member of the CLNS group of podcasts. Make sure you download and subscribe to all of those great shows. But tonight, it's the Pats Nation Network here. And sorry, we're a little bit delayed. We're watching that insane ending to the Bears-Rams game. But we are here to talk about your New England Patriots heading back to the AFC Championship. It's been a long 5 years, a long, dreadful 5 years. It's been a little longer than 5 years, but it's been a long time. And, we've suffered for quite a while, but that suffering is finally over. And the Patriots are back where they belong in the AFC Championship.
I can't believe we're back this season of all seasons. It feels incredible.
It's pretty wild. It's pretty wild. Yeah, it's pretty wild when you look at it. And I just we talked about it on here 100 times. We've talked about it 100 times here. We had them at 8 wins, right? We had them at 8 wins before the season started. And, for us, it was one of those things where it's like, hey, let's see what happens. Let's see where they go from here. And everything is broken right for them. Not only is everything broken right for them, but they also just keep winning and they keep playing well. And, Greg Bedard was kind of talking about this a little bit on the postgame show. I think he's on Sports Hub, but he was saying, you get some of that luck, that 2001 luck, right? In 2001, in order for the Patriots to get the number 1 seed or the number 2 seed, and get a first round bye, there was 97 things that had to happen, and each one of them happened, including the Jets winning a game in the second to last week of the season where they had absolutely no reason to win and they won anyways. And it was, all those things happened, including, David Patton getting knocked out cold in Buffalo and fumbling the ball. But the ball happened to touch his leg while his head was out of bounds. And so therefore it was Patriots ball still because he was out of bounds. He was touching the ball out of bounds. It was just insane. Just insane luck that happened over and over again. And so for me, you've seen a little bit of that this year, right? There's been some things that have gone the Patriots' way, right? The schedule is broken right for them at times. They fumbled the ball a good amount here in these first 2 games. And the Patriots have scooped up quite a few of them, right? I really think back to the one last week against the Chargers where, Jared Wilson comes flying in and recovers that. They might have picked it up and ran it in for a touchdown, right? The Chargers. So, it's one of those things that, I looked at it and said, man, I kind of agree with them that they've gotten lucky. They've definitely played well, but they've also gotten lucky at moments. And you need a little bit of luck, too. If you're going to win a championship, you need a little bit of luck.
You do, and I also thought the Patriots made their own luck today in a lot of ways. The driving force of this team this year, all year, has been the offense.
Yeah.
Because of Drake May and his ascendance here that really happened kind of all at once in the first month of the season. And I think, on our pessimism about the team this year was basically, we don't think they're a bad team, but we think that there's going to be some ups and downs for May, and he'll get where we want him to go, but not immediately. Well, he just got there immediately, and the offense carried them all year long. And the defense looked good, but largely against bad teams.
Yep.
You get to the playoffs here, and again, you play 2 teams with bad offensive lines and no Nico Collins and, no Trent Brown, all kinds of that stuff. But the defense has been making opponents pay for their own shortcomings. You saw that with the pressure and the blitzes last week against the Chargers. And then today, just being in the right spot at the right time against C.J. Stroud and this offense time and time again. And, it's a turnover performance. We're 22 years to the day from the 2003 AFC Championship game at home against a team from the AFC South in the snow at Gillette Stadium, and it happens again where you get the 4 picks and a fumble. It's literally the exact same turnover performance. You just don't have 3 from the same corner. And this time you get a pick 6 out of it, which you didn't have the first time around. Just unbelievable performance from that unit.
Yeah. And that's, the defense just stepped up so well. CJ Stroud was running for his life the entire game. I mean, just running for his life. And they brought some blitzes, but for the most part, it was really just the 4 guys up front, and every now and again they bring an extra guy, but some twists, some games, some stunts, and chasing, it felt like they ran that fake wide zone to the right. And then Stroud would either roll to his left and come off it or go straight back. And Chasen, to his credit, was all over it all night long. That play was, he had a sack on that play, and the pick 6 by Marcus Jones came on that play as well, where, Stroud's arm hits Chasen's helmet. The ball goes basically straight up in the air. So, credit to him. He really did a nice job. And so the Patriots, though, it just defensively, they stuffed the run. They were able to stop the run all night long. And when you could stop the run like that, that really changes the game. If they can do that next week, and I know Denver has a much better offensive line, if they can do that next week and force Jarrett Stidham to be the one to beat you, I think the Patriots win. But that's their path to success. You have to be able to stop the run. Today, 22 carries for 48 yards.
Yep.
That's it. And their longest run of the day was a scramble by CJ Stroud. So
yep, you'll take that.
100%.
And I think that this was one of our big keys to the game for this Patriots defense. It's, can you stop the run on early downs and get the Texans into a spot where they have to throw the football? And that ended up being your key to the game here. The Texans couldn't run the ball. They have to throw, and Stroud makes a whole bunch of errors because of it. In some ways, that is, and we talked about all kinds of stuff this game, but in a lot of ways, that is just your deciding factor right there. That's what swings it for you. Being able to take a quarterback who, Stroud did not turn it over that much this year. Missed a couple games, but only 8 picks on the season. Turnover or interception rate not that much higher than what Drake May did this year. He has not been that turnover prone, and the Texans haven't been that turnover prone. They had the second fewest turnovers in the league this year. And it's regression to the mean a little bit here with some fumble luck and playing defenses that could actually take advantage. And you saw it last week with 3 turnovers against the Steelers and then 5 today. They often they had 1 game with 3 turnovers this year. Every other game they were below that, and you get into the playoffs, you have 8 turnovers in 2 games. So clearly, teams able to key a little bit on what they do. And Stroud loses, you lose your safety blanket in Nico Collins. You lose your other safety blanket mid-game in Dalton Schultz.
Yeah.
And the whole offense is out of sorts at that point, and you punish it.
Yeah. Yeah, and there was one big play, a huge play. I think it was in the third quarter, I believe, where they, Texans ran the ball. They get up to the line of scrimmage without huddling, and the Patriots are just confused. They're just kind of running all over the place. And Cade Stover is just by himself in the flat. And Stroud throws it a little bit high. I mean, it's there. It's a little bit high, and he just drops it. And you just it was a game-changing moment, in my opinion. I believe they still ended up kicking a field goal on that drive, but he was just wide open, and he just missed him. He just missed it. Just dropped the pass. And that's the type of thing for me where it's those little moments change the game, right? When you don't make the play that you should make, Patriots completely screwed it up. It was a disaster by the Patriots. And he's left wide open. He's going to pick up 25 yards on the play, or 15, 20 yards on the play, and he just drops it. And it's just hey, man, you got to make a play at some point, and they didn't. And that's, again, those small plays every now and again can change things,
When I didn't think, even last week, the Patriots defense is not necessarily sound. They'll blow coverages. They'll leave guys wide open. There'll be mistakes. But what they do is confuse you on a snap, especially if you have to throw against them. They're going to confuse you. And that's where this stuff happens. That's where you get, you're throwing to guys that you don't necessarily trust, or you're throwing them out of rhythm because you don't know what's going on, or you're missing throws because you're not getting your feet set because you don't know what's going on, or you're thrown into tight windows because you thought things were going to be open and you're getting deflections. Like that was the whole thing. And it's like, yeah, sometimes you get lucky because guys are dropping balls, but also sometimes they're dropping balls because it's downstream of being uncomfortable and being unsettled that this defense does to you.
Right. It's true. By the way, this, play call was stepping in the first half with, running Henderson kind of over and over again. I think what we're starting to see, and Henderson had some really nice plays early on, kind of halfway through the season. I think we're starting to see in the playoffs how important Ramondre Stevenson is. I think that, the kid looked out of sorts today. He just looked out of sorts. There were times at the beginning of the, like he didn't know. Kind of.
Pat, your audio is going in and out, Pat. I don't know what's going on with the mic. While Pat figures that out, yeah, I mean, Ramondre Stevenson was incredible for the Patriots today, and relatively speaking, he, especially being banged up, being able to give you some real reps at running back there is massive, and having two backs that you feel comfortable with, that you can alternate between. When one gets hurt, you can go to the other one. You can rotate them. They have different skill sets too. It's been one of the team's strengths all year long, and Ramondre, I thought, helped you out a lot today.
Right.
Especially in the game.
For sure. And I think that, sorry about that. I don't know what the heck happened over here, but
no, you're
but
good
I think
now.
That's all right. Good. That's a big part of it, is that sometimes it's just that veteran leadership. And I think Henderson woke him up a little bit. Like, you see a kid walk in there and make some big plays. And you're like, all right, I got to go out there and perform. And Mondre's done a great job of doing that. So, next week's going to be tough. And we'll talk about next week kind of as we get on. And I know, Patriots are 5.5 point favorites already. They opened as 5.5 points favorites, which is wild. And I know Denver's got their backup quarterback in there. I know Jarrett Stidham's not very good. Denver's a very good team with a very good offensive line. That's a big deal. It's a big deal that they have a really good offensive line. So we'll see. We'll see. But look at this. Eric over here is going. Look at this. Going to awesome. Denver. Let's go, Eric. That's dope. Love to see that. I'm so
jealous.
Me too, man. That's fantastic. I love to see it. Have the best time out there. Denver's a place I've always wanted to go and never been to. They played in Denver a few years ago, and I wanted to go.
The Christmas Eve game?
But it was the Christmas Eve game, so I couldn't go. It was Christmas Eve. What am I supposed to do? You know what I mean? But that's so cool that he's able to go there.
This is now after the 2005 season, the Pats played at Denver in the playoffs. After the 2015 season, the Pats played at Denver in the playoffs. Now after the 2025 season, they're playing at Denver in the playoffs. So, book your airfare for 2035 now.
That's right. Let's hope that this one ends a little bit different than those two did.
The last couple, yeah.
0-3, by the way, in Denver in the playoffs, at least under Belichick and Brady.
With some weird games.
Yes.
Very weird.
Yes. Of course, the Ben Watson play, everyone remembers.
And Asante Samuel reminding people, I forgot about the pass interference. The refs basically gifted the Broncos two touchdowns in that game. Which is crazy. 2013 game, Denver was just clearly the better team. And at that point, and that's fine. That 2013 Patriots team was not that good.
Everyone was hurt. It was a mess. Yeah. That was a rough year.
And then 2015, Broncos clearly the better team. And yet Brady and Gronk still are almost too much to overcome.
What an insane catch by Gronk. What just an insane play overall. And the touchdown was ridiculous. Speaking of insane catches, I know we're kind of bouncing all over the place. Speaking of insane catches, the Keyshawn Boutte catch is the one that everyone's going to kind of talk about because it was a one-handed catch that it was just like insane. The Stephon Diggs touchdown catch is one of the single best catches I've ever seen in my entire life. I don't, it's unbelievable. It's unbelievable how good that catch was. And the hand strength is out of this world.
Yep. And it's all 3 touchdown catches. May throws 3 touchdowns today. I think we'll back it up and start with the first one. Cover 0 blitz on 4th down. You get pop one-on-one with the safety. And I don't know if you could tell in the stadium, Pat, but the defender, blanking on the name, he gets his hand on the football. He deflects it on the touchdown, and Pop still catches it with the bare hands in the bad weather there. Takes it to the house. Reminding me a little bit of the Deion Branch touchdown against the Jets on Monday Night Football in 2010. Same end zone, 4th down early in the game. Ball underneath that he just takes to the house.
Yeah.
Similar spot on the field. I thought you saw, like, offensively, we talked about how we thought it might be an ugly game. The Patriots might have a lot of, like, 3-and-outs and ugly possessions and turnovers. And it was just, as long as the turnovers didn't kill them, it was, can you get 2 or 3 big plays? And they got the 2 big plays. You get the touchdown to Pop, and then the unbelievable one-handed touchdown catch by Kayshon Boutte, and the amazing touchdown catch by Stephon Diggs, which came after back-to-back RPO glance plays to Kayshon Boutte.
Yes.
Which you don't get any like 40-yarders in there, but you get a string of big plays in a row. And if you told me before this game that May was going to get 3 touchdowns, I'd say that's enough, and it was.
Yep. Which, by the way, Matt, to your point here, the Patriots had 1 single drive with over 6 plays. 1.
Yep.
And that 1 drive was a 6-minute drive in the 4th quarter where they were basically just killing time.
Yep.
And that makes
that's how this game was going to be. Like last week, the Patriots had 10 possessions. They had 9 in the first half. They ended up with 15. Both teams ended up with 15 on the game. This is what we talked about during the week. If game script wise, this was going to be a very different game than the Chargers won, even though both these teams had similar statistical profiles. They do play differently. And I think you saw that. I think we knew the Patriots were going to have a lot of really ugly possessions. And it's just, can you get, like, you're going to have a lot of bites at the apple. Can you just get a couple of the big plays? And they made them. May did not have his best game, but they made the plays they needed to make.
And what's crazy is that May didn't have his best game. Going into today, no quarterback had thrown for more than 2 touchdowns in a game against the Texans this year. Drake May was the first to throw for 3. And so, yes, it wasn't a great game. Yes, he was under fire, and Will Campbell's got to be better. And, Jared Wilson, I thought, was fine, but not great. And he's got to do a better job of kind of feeling that and seeing that from Will Anderson. But at the end of the day, he throws 3 touchdown passes. No one had ever done that against the Texans this year. And that, is enough to win the game. So Goalie also asked a question about Boutte playing with Stingley. Boutte did play with Stingley, I think only for 1 year. But Kayshon Boutte did play with Derek Stingley. Maybe two. And then also,
what year was Stingley drafted?
Stingley was drafted
2022.
It was the year before Gonzo, so I think 2022.
All right, then I think 1 year. I think 2021 was there.
Okay.
No, because Boutte was there in 2020 as well, because he played 2020, 21, 22, drafted in 23. So they had 2 years together.
Okay, so there you go. How about that? And then stat of the night. Here's the stat of the night right here. Since entering the league in 2022, Marcus Jones leads the league in non-offensive touchdowns with 6 now. He is an absolute weapon with the ball in his hands. Of course, I referenced it earlier. Caleb Von Jason forces the bad throw from C.J. Stroud when he hits his arm. Ball basically goes straight up in the air, and Marcus catches it and rumbles into the end zone for a touchdown. Kind of gets dragged into the end zone.
By the face mask.
By the face mask. That's what they didn't call.
That's the play of the game, too.
100%.
Like, when you look at the situation where that happens, I don't know what the feeling was in the stadium, but I know, like, at home, the feeling was, all right, the Texans, you get a 65-yard drive. You do get a pick, but they had moved the ball a little bit on that drive, and then they get the touchdown after the turnover. You're down 10-7. The offense can't do anything, and now all of a sudden the Texans have the ball back.
Right.
And it's just that feeling of, all right, well, if they do it again, and it's 21, would it be 21-7 or no, 17-7?
17-7 if they were to score a touchdown. Yep.
Yeah,
Yep.
if it's 17-7 before the Pats were touching the ball again, we already see what the offense looks like early with basically one good play, and that's it. This could end up turning into a rough afternoon because they're going to be able to get after May, and you're going to have a tough time. And to immediately flip the script there and, get a pressure, force Stroud into a bad throw, punish the bad throw because they hadn't done that early. Stroud's throw, the one thing on those first couple of drives is that Stroud was not playing well.
Right.
He was just getting lucky. And to actually take advantage of that, and then, we all know why that Marcus Jones jersey is up behind you. It's because of the playmaking ability that has been so evident in his play style going all the way back to college. And once you get the ball in his hands, there's no telling what's going to happen.
100%. And so I'm not on Twitter today. For those of you that don't know, my Twitter was hacked this morning at like 10 a.m. Someone hacked into my Twitter. They changed email. It's a disaster. So I'm working with X to try to figure that out. Hopefully I get it back. We'll see what happens. But June Lee tweeted out today, and I just loved it. You sent it to the group chat. I loved it. I'm going to read it right now. It says that my favorite Patriots are the players who fit the team ethos regardless of era. Troy Brown, Julian Edelman, Kevin Falk, Vrabel, Bruschi, Marcus Jones is one of those guys. Yep. He is. Marcus is one of those guys where it's like he could have played in 01 on that team because he's just a guy that makes plays. That's what he does. And he just does it over and over and over again. And you need him to make a play in the running game, he'll go make a play in the running game. You need him to make a play in the punt return game, he'll make a play in the punt return game. You need him to get an interception and return for a touchdown, he can do that too. It's just he does all those things. And it just, goodness sake, it's just
unbelievable.
He's awesome. He's so awesome. And having him on the team is great. It is really great. And the Patriots are lucky. So again,
you look at he didn't get off to the best start either because he gets beat by Christian Kirk for the touchdown.
He was having a rough game. Yeah.
Yeah. And that was one of those, that play was the Justin Herbert play 4th and 2 from the first game, the wild card round where it's near the goal line. We're going to bring the zero blitz, man coverage, and we're betting that you can't make the throw under pressure, and pressure doesn't really get there.
Right.
Marcus Jones has good coverage if it doesn't make the best play on the ball. And Stroud did what Herbert could not do the week before, which is put the ball in a spot where the receiver can make a play on. And he does, and you get the touchdown. And I think one of the things we said this week was Stroud's not a better quarterback than Justin Herbert. But in one game sample, in a playoff game, Stroud can play better than Justin Herbert did the week before.
Right.
And that was also that moment of, man, he's not playing well, but if he's going to do that, that might be enough.
Right.
And to immediately turn around and have the awful decision to throw that ball under pressure, and then Marcus Jones getting revenge, and that's like wiping out his own mistake on the coverage before, which is a defender. You don't usually get an opportunity to literally match the points on the board. Yeah,
I agree. There's a discussion going on in the chat between a few of the guys about, Marcus Jones returning kicks. It is interesting for me. It's something that I've thought about a little bit. It's something that I wonder if they would try. I think the big thing for them with kick returns is that they don't want a starter back there. And they had Williams back there. I think Kyle Williams is a mistake to have back there. He's got zero wiggle. He's fast, but he's just straight line fast. He can't juke anyone. Marcus has the ability to juke some guys. I just think that's an injury waiting to happen for Marcus Jones. He's already on the field a ton. You want him back there because he's an elite punt returner. Yeah. Kick returning is a completely different thing. And my take on it is that you're probably not going to get too many kick return touchdowns. I'd rather have a running back or a wide receiver back there. And I like the idea that it's a running back. Chisholm's fine. He's going to get you the 27 every time. Whatever. It just is what it is. I don't, listen, can Marcus Jones return one for a touchdown? I do think that he gives you the best chance out of anyone on the team right now to return one for a touchdown. I just don't know if it's worth it based on how much you rely on him to play defense.
I also think the kickoff returns a lot more like an offensive play, just the way it plays out. So getting offensive players to return that, I think, makes sense to just they're going to read the way that happens better. And I don't hate the idea of getting Marcus some experience with kickoff returns, in the preseason, so that in a big moment you can put him back there, give him one or two in a playoff game, or in a big regular season game where you feel like you might need it. But I think they're perfectly fine as is. And, as we saw, Antonio Gibson could take one to the house. Troyan Henderson can take one to the house. Both those guys doing it going back to August. So I had no issues with the way they've handled that overall.
Yeah, that goalie mentioned he wanted them to trade for Shaheed. I mean, you saw what Shaheed did for the Seahawks, right?
If you're trading for a guy like that, because I know people balked at the price for Shaheed. But if you can guarantee that a guy like that, like getting a 7-point play in special teams in the divisional round, like that is a massive, massive play. I mean, that's your game-winning score off the opening kickoff, and that's
right.
So that turns into Shaheed is a free agent, by the way.
Yep.
Well, I'm gonna assume Seattle will want him back, but if they don't get a deal done and he hits the market,
you would assume that they would want him back, but who knows? You never know.
Shaheed on kickoffs and Marcus Jones on punts would be probably that's the best return unit in the NFL right there, as long as you can block to a half decent level.
Yeah, wouldn't even be close. Wouldn't even be close. So
the only thing that could possibly be up there is if Chimere DK keeps this up the way he's been doing it.
It's a good point.
And then,
on both
then
ends.
you might have what those two do in one player. But,
right. It's pretty unbelievable what he was able to do this year. So.
Yeah. Can we talk about coaching for a second in this game?
Yes, let's do that, please.
I thought D'Amico Ryans got thoroughly, and I mean thoroughly, outcoached in this game.
Mm-hmm.
And there's a couple of, that's the fourth down decisions. You're down on the road in the playoffs. You got a 4th and 2 near the goal line, and you don't go for it. Down by 2 possessions at that point. You're kicking a field goal to go down by 8 in that spot.
Yeah.
I just thought that was awful. And especially, when you have the kind of defense you do, the defense that we saw, and we'll have to get into this, but Will Campbell could not block today. The Texans have the best 4-man rush in the NFL.
Right.
If you don't get it 4th down from the opponent's 7-yard line, you feel good about your chances of immediately getting 2 points back right there.
Right.
Or getting a strip sack and getting 7 points back, or being right back where you started. And to just not go for that, I thought was awful. You're giving up a chance for 4 extra points there, and in a game where the Patriots already beat you on a 4th down and got a touchdown off that play. I thought that was brutal. But what's even worse than that, Pat? It's what leads up to that sequence, because you've got 3rd and 2 from the 7, and you can't get a play in the second half of a playoff game. You have to burn a timeout just to get a play in on 3rd and 2 that isn't successful, and then you don't go for it on 4th and 2.
Yeah,
and then this happens again later in the 4th quarter, where you have another 3rd down where you can't get the play in, and you have to call a timeout, and you don't get it.
Yeah, which is one of the reasons why the game ends the way it does.
Yeah, you forfeit 2 timeouts in the second half of a playoff game because you can't get plays in on 3rd downs that you don't even end up converting once you get the call in that you wanted. And then down by 2 scores with 4 minutes left in a postseason game, you're punting. I don't care what the down and distance is. It could be 4th and goal from your own 1. It
doesn't matter. It's completely insane that they would punt there.
And for a former player to be doing that, I get if it was some nerd in a box who's like, oh, well, technically, if we do this, it's the right call. No, man, you're a football player. Go out there and be aggressive and trust your guys to make a play. What are we doing here? And I really liked D'Amico Ryans before this game, but the way everything about the second half unfolded for the Texans, just the mismanagement of the clock and of fourth down situations, the game where you're an underdog in the road in bad conditions and your offense hasn't played well and you don't know when you're going to be back in the red zone again.
Yeah, I would have
It's
gone
so bad.
I definitely would have gone for the touchdown instead of the field goal, to try to make it a 3-point game as opposed to an 8-point game. I do that fourth down. Again, there's 4 minutes left to go in the game. Here's the thing. You're down 12, right? Let's say you don't get it. Sure, the Patriots are already in field goal range. If you can stop the Patriots 3 and out, which is what we were assuming you wanted to do when you punted it deep to them. If you can stop them 3 and out, by the way, you only have one timeout left, which I think, to me, that makes it
so
difference.
much worse. It makes
because
it so much
one timeout. You can't stop the clock. So to me, you say,
you
okay,
can't let the other team have the ball in that situation.
Correct. So, but if you stop the Patriots 3 and out, they kick a field goal. Now you go from being down 2 scores to being down 2 scores. What is the difference? Who cares if they kick a field goal in that situation? If you stop them 3 and out and they kick the field goal, you're down 15. You need 2 touchdowns. You've needed 2 touchdowns to begin with. So what difference does it make? It's just, it's so incredibly stupid. And it's one of those things where it's like, I had people around me leaving. They were like, yeah, we're out of here. Like, we'll try to beat the traffic home. Like, they just punted to end the game. Game's over. They're like, yeah, the game's over. Like, see you later. We'll see you next year. I'm like, all right, guys. Like, see ya. It's just crazy.
It's just throwing up. You're throwing up a white flag to your team at that point.
Yeah.
And it's just embarrassing.
Yeah.
I don't get it. And I thought the Texans were, generally speaking, prepared for this game. We talk about the Patriots offense didn't have, they had a bad day. We thought they were going to have a bad day largely. And I thought the Texans did a good job of showing things that we hadn't seen before. I thought we saw more blitz looks and different blitz looks than what we'd seen from the Texans this year. Yeah. Especially I think the play that was designed on that fourth down, I think that was designed to be like a cover 4 look. I think that was designed to get Pop 1-on-1 with that safety. It's just that it ended up being blitz 0. So that's a look you like in that spot against cover 4, because that's what or against man coverage. Right. Like cover 1, that's what you think they're probably playing there. And they just go blitz 0, and it's an even better look for that. But that the Texans were at least doing different things from what they've done all year, and I thought it fooled the Patriots a lot, and it got a lot of good results.
Yeah, it definitely did.
Just not enough. I think the Texans probably. I don't know if you told me before this game May's going to throw 3 touchdowns and only the Patriots get a defensive touchdown and the Texans don't. I said 95% chance the Patriots are winning that game.
Absolutely, yeah. Yeah, I mean, 28 points is enough against this team. And it's the same thing next week. It's the same exact thing next week. If you could score, you could score 24 points against the Broncos, I think you win that game. As long as they don't score at least 1 defensive touchdown, you should win that game with 24 points against the Broncos. We'll see. But, especially when you talk about Gillette Stadium being their quarterback, you should win that game if you can score 24. Now, can you score 24? I don't know. We'll see. But if you can score 24, you win that game. Remember that Matt Collins is eligible to come off of IR. We'll see. We'll see if he actually will be healthy enough to come off of IR, but he is eligible to come off of IR this week if he's healthy to be out there. So we'll see. So do you want to do an ad break and then we'll get going second half?
Yeah, let's do it.
All right, this episode is brought to you by Prize Picks. Whether you're starting a new routine or making player picks the first time, trying something new can be hard, but in life and on Prize Picks, it always feels good to be right. With high-pressure playoff matchups every weekend and elite hoops action almost every night, the action never stops, and Prize Picks lets you take control. Now, don't forget, Prize Picks now has early payouts. If your player gets off to a hot start, you now have the option to cash out those winnings before the game even finishes. And with the new social feeds tab, you can share Prize Picks with your friends and copy lineups from winners with a single click. Copy lineups you like or use them as inspiration for your own picks. You can even follow Prize Pick partners like us and tail or fade our picks with just one click. By the way, my lineup hit this week. Josh Allen, more than I think it was 36 rushing yards, and Mondre for more than 35 rushing yards. Absolutely love to see it. Love to see it. It was nice. Nice little cap to the weekend for me. What are you going to do? Download the app Prize Picks. Put in the promo code CLNS. When you do that, you're going to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. That's code CLNS on Prize Picks to get $50 in lineups after you play your first $5 lineup. Prize Picks. It's good to be right. Okay. A guy that I think deserves some recognition. I did talk about Jason a little bit. Yeah, did I not?
A little, but let's do more.
He played fantastic today. He was fantastic. Him and the other guy we'll talk about the corners in a bit, but he's a guy that I've been on a little bit this year. I didn't love him. I thought okay. He played fantastic today. He was all over he was up in Stroud's grill multiple times, forced the pick six from Marcus Jones, finally got a sack. I mentioned that, they ran that fake stretch to the right, and he was all over it, waiting for Stroud multiple times. And again, got a sack on one of them and forced some bad throws on another one. On the other ones, he just constantly in the backfield, consistently in the backfield, has been their best pass rusher all year long, and did it again today. And really, for me, is a guy that I didn't know kind of coming into this. I didn't know. Like halfway through the year, I was kind of like, okay, he's decent. We'll see. And Goldie's saying he should get re-signed this offseason. I think it makes sense to re-sign him this offseason. I don't know how much he's going to get. Yeah. I actually look at him as a guy like, remember the Patriots had Mark Anderson? This is years ago. Remember they had Mark Anderson, and he had like 10 sacks for the Patriots, and then he signed this big contract somewhere else, and he did nothing after that. I worry that Chasen is a guy like that. I do like him out there. I think he's a good player. I just wonder, is he that good that you want to pay him a ton of money? Maybe not.
I think, I like Chason. I think he has done a lot for this team. He's a big part of why the defense has played well in the playoffs, and hopefully will continue to have big games. I also think, depending on the salary he gets, you might be able to get a better player for the same money, or 80% of that player for significantly less money. And like Harold Landry is already locked in next year. He's going to be on your roster. So there's one of your spots. Presumably Elijah Ponder is going to be another. I do wonder if Anthony Jennings has played his way just into Mike Vrabel's group. He's played well this year. I think he's a good depth guy.
He played awesome. He played awesome today. Had another sack, forced the sack on the Tonga one where they punted with 4 minutes left. That was caused by Jennings on the twist, and then Tonga finished it off.
Cleans it up, yeah. I do think this is one of those spots where you take Chason back with the right money, and also like if Max Crosby is available, this is the spot you upgrade.
Right.
Like I'd rather if it's signed Chason to market rate or trade for Max Crosby, I think you're probably taking the trade for Max Crosby if you can only have one of the two.
100%.
And that goes for other potential edge rushers they can make moves for. But I do think that's looking ahead a little bit. Here and now, Chason's on the team and playing awesome ball. Yeah, and he's been the best edge rusher on the team as of late, with Landry battling that injury and just not getting like the other guys are. Ponder is an undrafted rookie. He's played well given his status, but he's a backup. Anthony Jennings is not a pure pass rusher. You've gotten more from him than I think you expected as a pass rusher here in the last couple games.
I think so too.
Yeah, but Chason's kind of the leader of that group. His jump off the ball, I think, has been fantastic, which helps. And against the Texans line that's depleted right now, dealing with injuries at tackle, you needed a big game, and you got a big game.
Yep. It's true. So, we'll see if they can continue doing that. Other guys on defense that I think deserve it. Christian Gonzalez, I thought was fantastic today. I don't know how many catches he gave up. Led the team in tackles. Had a forced fumble. Almost had another forced fumble. He just is around the football. Just kind of has a nose for the ball. Had a pass breakup. He's just a great player. And Carlton Davis had 2 picks today, right? Where it's just like Carlton Davis is a guy that, I think a lot of Patriots Nation doesn't like him. he's kind of the second corner, and people are always complaining about him and stuff. And he gets called for a lot of penalties. Which that pass interference by him was ticky-tack at best, I thought.
He had two.
Two, yeah.
One of them was awful. The other one was the exact same call that Davis has gotten called for like 4 times this year.
Yeah, where he's holding the guy's hand, right?
Grabs the trailing arm, and it's like, all right, whether or not you think that's a good call, you've gotten flagged for that like 3 times this year. So like, I don't really want to. Yeah.
Right. Just stop doing it. I know the guy's pushing you. I know he's trying to push off, but like, stop doing that. Drives me crazy. But he did have 2 picks. Played hard in the running game, did leave with an injury, so we'll see kind of where that leaves us.
Looked like he took a shot to the head trying to make a tackle.
He did. Yeah. So we'll see what that means, if he would have gone back in, but the game was already over. I don't know. So
when I want to pick up on that, because like how the secondary played today, like Christian Gonzalez is what I would call like a low event corner. You just don't throw at him. So there's just not a lot of stats near wherever he is on the field.
Right.
Occasionally you get the tackles because teams might run in his direction. He's the weakest tackler of the group, which I think you saw at times in the second Bills game this year, and even in the Ravens game. But by and large, like, not a lot happens around Christian Gonzalez because offenses don't want to be over that.
Right.
So what that means is that Carlton Davis and Marcus Jones both end up being like high event players. They're going to get thrown out a lot. They're going to give up more yards and more completions because of that, just by volume, and then also more penalties. But then also you get the other plays, and just the fact that you got 3 picks from those 2 guys, and you get the 2 penalties, and Marcus Jones gives up the touchdown. But if you're the trade-off here of a touchdown and 2 penalties to 3 interceptions
and a touchdown,
that is so far in the defense's favor that you will take that. And that first Carlton Davis pick, I didn't think he should have, probably could have just gotten 2 feet down going out of bounds. He didn't necessarily make a great play, but he got his knee down by 1 hair.
That's unbelievable.
That's all that matters. I sent you that screenshot.
Yeah, it was insane.
Yeah, well, you're at the stadiums because you couldn't. I mean, in the stadium, you can't tell.
I thought there's no chance. He caught it. I'm like, there's no way he got the second foot down. I'm like, there's no way he did.
That was my reaction in live time too, and he got that knee in just barely.
It's a great call by the refs. I don't know how the heck they saw that, but it was a great call by the refs.
Yeah, I will say, for what has been not necessarily the best weekend of NFL officiating, getting calls like that right on the first try.
Yeah,
I'll give him the credit where credit's due there.
Agreed.
I have one more in the secondary too.
Yes,
and that's Craig Woodson.
Yep.
The pick.
Yep.
Like he has been fantastic in the playoffs. I think this is the best we've seen him play all year, which makes me very optimistic about the future, hoping that this is something that can continue.
Yeah.
But just his play speed right now is so fast. He's recognizing things so well. Everyone. I thought everyone in the secondary had a fantastic day today, and the Texans ended up with like over 200 passing yards, I think. So like it would be easy to just look at some of the stats and say, it was an okay day, but they were breaking up balls all over the place. I thought they tackled well. Gonzo with a forced fumble. Like I thought everyone had a good day.
Yeah,
even outside of the picks.
Right. Stroud's also 20 for 47. So like, they throw over 200 yards, but he's under 50% completion percentage, right? That's, not great. Not great for him.
And it felt like there were a lot of checkdowns in there. I felt like when they were trying to throw the ball down the field at all, it was not happening.
Well, in that last drive, right? Those last 2 drives, right? They give up some yards because they're like, go ahead, take some yardage down the field. We're okay with that, And that play by Robert Splain to end the game.
Talk about that.
That play by Robert Splain. I mean, he's running down the field with no one over the top with a wide receiver. And then Hutchinson gets up to make the catch, and Splain gets his hand in and knocks it away. It's insane. It's just so we, of course, celebrated, and we're like, oh my God. And my dad's like, wait, that was Splain down there? What the hell is he doing there by himself? I'm like, I don't know. It must have been a Tampa 2 look It had to have been.
That
I don't know
yeah,
what the
some kind
heck
of
it
match
was.
coverage, or yeah, but unbelievable play.
Your middle linebackers covering a wide receiver one-on-one and knocks the pass away to end the game. It's unbelievable.
Yeah, that was fantastic. But you can tell how much better this defense is when you have Milton Williams back, Kyrus Tonga back, who gets his first sack of the season today,
Yep.
and Robert Spillane. Just what that does for the spine of your defense up the
yeah.
middle, and then the cascading effect of putting every other player in a better spot for success. Like we talked about Jack Gibbons last week and Christian Ellis, who I thought had a good game, and just like Jelani Tavai has played well. Like it puts every other player in a better spot where they have to do just a little bit less. And that's the team aspect of this. And it's kind of, we talked about this last year, how the defense fell apart when Bentley got hurt. Bentley and Barmore, because it was like, all right, well, that was supposed to be the spine of your defense.
Right.
And now it's not there. And I think Spillane, I don't know if he's a better fit for what they do now. He's that guy for you in the middle of the defense. And you also have two other guys on the defensive line up the middle that help you in addition to what Barmore should have been for you last year. And that right there is so much of the turnaround from what this defense
was. For sure.
And with great coaching.
Well, then you add in, Chasen and Landry, and I think Avery Jennings has really done a really nice job this year. So it's like you add those guys in, and all of a sudden defensively you're looking at it saying like, oh, seems pretty dang good, right? And it's funny, and look, they're in the AFC Championship game, so like I think it's fair to make these comparisons to 0-1, but you look at 0-1 and you see the starters that they got from free agency, guys that you were like, Mike Vrabel, fine, whatever, he played. But like that's a guy that Brian Cox, another great example, right? A guy that kind of came in and fit a specific role and played extremely well in that role. And you're looking at it saying, here we are, Robert Spillane, good player, not a great player, but good player. And he makes a play like that to end the game. And again, it's not like they were going to lose if they gave a touchdown on that play, but like it's a huge play for him to make. He's been a phenomenal player for them this year. That's a situation where it's like these could be, and again, we're getting ahead of ourselves. You think about 0-1 and those Patriots legends, right, that came from that 0-1, free agent class. Anthony Pleasant and Bobby Hamilton and, Mike Vrabel and, got Tyrone Poole, who they got that year, and David Patton. And you look at all these guys that they brought in that people are like, whatever, like these guys are fine. And, never mind like the really good players that they brought in this year as well. Milton Williams obviously is a great player, but like Spillane has kind of come out of the woodwork and we're like, oh yeah, we thought we'd like him, but he's really turned into that guy for them. And Christian Ellis too. I mean, Christian Ellis has been fantastic in the playoffs too. So, and really kind of for the back half, for the better part of the year for Ellis. And it just, man, what they're doing right now is pretty crazy.
Well, to take a step back here too, just like it's like different. Obviously, Vrabel we know, but like different coaches and different players, and yet here we are, and it's January, and it's playoffs, and it's snowing, and they're out there with the silver helmets and blue jerseys and silver pants, and they're picking off quarterbacks, and they're scoring defensive touchdowns, and they're just beating the hell out of you on defense with a quarterback who makes enough plays. It's very much like the more things change, the more they stay the same here.
Right.
It's crazy. Like it just kind of feels like we're right back to the top. We just went right back to 2001 at the top of the dynasty.
It's pretty unbelievable.
And we'll see. Obviously, we'll see what comes from here because, nothing is guaranteed in the league. We all know what happened with Denver on Saturday when they thought they were as high as it gets at this point in the season. So, don't count your eggs before they hatch. But
and it's a tough place to play. It's a tough place to play over there. And I think Nick Foles tweeted something out today about how, hey, look, it sucks, obviously, Broncos fans, but I played the Patriots in a championship situation as a backup quarterback. It worked out well for him. Now that doesn't mean anything necessarily, but maybe it does. And that's yeah, we'll see. I just it's kind of wild when you think about like where the Patriots could be after this week. I mean, and you just, oh my God. I just,
And one thing I will say is this. My primary reason, going way back, my primary reason for being upset with the Trevion Henderson pick back in April was that I just didn't think they were close enough to being a contender to be worth taking a running back that high, just because your best value-wise, your best years for a running back are always on that rookie deal. And I didn't know, I didn't know if we were going to get enough. If you told me that the Patriots were going to be this good this year,
right.
I would have had a very different opinion of that pick at the time. So kudos to them for making it. I do think that when you see Luther Burden today with a couple drops on a big drive late for the Bears, and, you can Monday morning quarterback things, but Henderson's been amazing for them this season, and a big reason. It's a big reason why they're first in the AFC East instead of second in the AFC East, and why they're getting the 2 seed and playing these games at home, and why they've had back-to-back warm weather dome teams have to come play in the cold. Like that's a huge advantage.
Makes a difference. And go ahead.
It's it. Like, should we be a little bit concerned about May in the cold and in wet weather?
Yeah, a little bit.
I can't because it feels like how many games has he played in bad weather now? Because it feels like most of the games he's played in bad weather have also been against good teams.
Right.
It's like I don't want to. Like it's a lot of his performance today could have just been the Texans are really good. Like they're just better. They're more talented than you across the board.
Yeah, and that certainly could be part of it, right? And so you say, hey, look, it's not necessarily him, but I think you've seen enough here where you wonder, like, he doesn't play his best in these games. Now, I will say, a lot of quarterbacks don't play their best in these types of situations, in these types of games, right? You saw Matt Stafford, tonight in Chicago, and he didn't throw any interceptions, but he wasn't great. He was fine, good enough to win, but they didn't do a great job against them, and kind of. One of the things about the Bears that they've given up, I think they're like 28th in yards allowed or something like that. And, whatever. They just turn the ball over more than anyone else.
Yeah, the Bears are they actually had a better turnover differential this year than the Texans. And the Texans were second in turnovers on offense, third in defense.
Yeah.
The Bears have just been turnover lucky to a ridiculous degree this year.
Right. And they get no turnovers. So, of course, that's huge. Obviously, when you're not turning the football over. But it's outside of that. Stafford was fine, but not great. And so it's like, okay, well, and he's not necessarily great in tough weather. And Caleb Williams kind of had a little bit of a tough game as well. And of course, he had that insane play, on 4th down, but then it has through multiple interceptions as well. So listen, no one's great. I would say, like, no one's like perfect in those bad weather games, but it is a little concerning that you're going to be playing cold weather games in January, hopefully, for a long time to come. Drake may need to play well in those games. So
he's got time to get adjusted.
He does.
What I was like, you look at the stats today, like the overall numbers are not great, but 3 touchdowns is massive.
Mm-hmm.
That wins you this game effectively, and the turnovers aren't great, but the pick is a Hail Mary pick. I don't really.
Right.
That doesn't mean anything. The fumbles, too many fumbles.
Right.
Some of them
4
were on
fumbles
him.
A lot.
Yeah, too many. Some of those are on him. Some of those are not on him. But there's one real quick one in there that's 100% Will Campbell. And I do wonder. We can have a Will Campbell discussion at some point. He has not played well here in the playoffs. He was also battling a serious leg injury, and is the type of thing that you can be cleared and healthy enough to come back from without actually being 100%. And I'm going to guess that's part of this. And it's also Will Anderson. Will Anderson does that to fully healthy Pro Bowl tackles. So.
Correct. Yeah. And it's tough. I thought I was surprised that they weren't giving him any help. I was surprised that they just left him on an island for the most part. And then when they started helping him in the second half, he looked a lot better. But it was just that first half, he's just by himself. And he was getting beat, and that's look, he's done a really nice job, I think, of even when he gets beat fast by someone, of being able to get out and push him away from the quarterback, right? And kind of run him around the quarterback. And he just wasn't able to do that today against Will Anderson.
Didn't get him enough depth. Yep. When I did think, like, I thought the Patriots were searching for long stretches of this game for something that could delay the pass rush. We saw them trying it with a couple draw plays early.
Yeah,
that didn't end up working. We saw it with screen passes, and they had a little bit of success early, and then that died off pretty quickly. And you go straight drop back, and that's tough against them. You're gonna have a hard time. And I think this is one of the things we talked about this week is that they're just when you go against a defense that's that talented, at a certain point, all you can do is ask for your players to win one-on-one matchups. That's just whether that's Will Campbell winning or a receiver winning down the field or someone breaking tackles. That's kind of what it has to come down to. And it's not about doing it a lot. You're not looking to do it 4 or 5 times in a drive to get down the field. You're looking to do it once or twice in a drive and score a touchdown. And that's what they were able to do. And that's to have 3 of those touchdown drives. It's
huge. It's huge. And I will say
20% of your drives on the day were touchdown drives.
Yeah, it's not bad.
And at least 2 of those, you'd really say 3 of those drives. One of those drives is the Hail Mary at the end. And then 2's the kneel downs at the end. And the third one is that 6-minute long drive starting from your own territory, which you punt, but I would consider it a success with how much time you take off the clock.
Hugely successful drive.
So, like, in drives where you're really going for a touchdown, they're kind of 3 of 12, 25%.
Yeah, it's not bad.
Against this defense, I think you have to be very happy with that.
I agree. I was disappointed with Drake's ability to throw the ball deep. Obviously, he had the great touchdown pass to Kayshon Boutte. That was a great throw. Obviously, a phenomenal catch, but a great throw as well. He had Kyle Williams twice down the field. And he's got Lassiter one-on-one. He's got a step or 2 on him. And May just throws it out of bounds. And I would like to see Kyle Williams come up with at least one of those. Right, his ball tracking skills is usually very good, so I was disappointed he couldn't come up with one of those catches. But if May leads that closer to the numbers on the sideline, both of those plays are touchdowns. He's got to step on Lassiter. If that's in stride, just throw it up. Just let him go get it. Instead of throwing him to the sideline there, just let him run. And I think that makes a huge difference. Those could have been huge turning points. In the game where it's like Kyle Williams catches a 70-yard touchdown pass from Drake May, and it's just like, yeah, he's got the speed to do that. They left him one-on-one, and it's like he's wide open, right? He's got, he's NFL wide open. He's got a step and a half on him. Step and a half is enough for Williams to pull away and score a touchdown. So that, the ball tracking skills I wasn't happy about, and Tony mentioned that, like, the ball tracking skills isn't great.
Kyle Williams had a good game.
No.
There was one of those that went off his hands, too, that it would have been a difficult catch, but
that's my
want to catch it.
And I'm not happy with Kyle Williams on that either. I think the ball tracking skills wasn't great, and he should have caught that one that went off his hands. However, May made it a more difficult throw than it had to be. It didn't have to be a difficult catch. Just lay it out for him and let him go run to it. And then he's probably scoring a touchdown on both of those plays if you do that, because he's got to step on him, and there's no safety help over the top. He's scoring a touchdown, most likely. So that I was disappointed in that with him. And again, May wasn't perfect, but again, he throws 3 touchdown passes, right? He makes some nice plays. One of his runs for one of his first down runs where he breaks a tackle, breaks another tackle, and then runs for a first down. We've kind of patented play, and we saw Caleb Williams do that in the Bears game as well. But it's just like, he breaks a tackle, breaks a second tackle, and then picks up a first down on third down. Just like, no big deal, and gets out of bounds and doesn't get hit. It's just that's the type of stuff that we're used to seeing him do. And, we're going to have to see more of that next week too. But it's just, I'd like to see him clean up some of those deep throws because they're there. If you're going to play one-on-one against a guy, Kyle Williams, and his release package is good now. He's not getting jammed with the line. He had some really nice releases there.
Really nice ones today, yeah. And especially this was one of those matchups he gets scared about because they might be too physical for him, and they weren't. So that's a great sign. But the other thing too, this is May's going to have to make these throws. He might not be under pressure, but when you make those throws, like the touchdown to Boutte, you basically get one shot. Like you are dropping back, knowing I'm throwing the deep route, and you're going to take three steps and throw it, and hope that you don't get hit in that time.
Right.
And when you have to play like that, there's going to be like you're thinking of the pressure. The pressure is kind of already altering your decision making before you've even taken the snap. And when that happens, I feel like the accuracy is just always a little bit worse.
Yeah.
And also, like these are hard throws to make too, and that's why it's like I'll use a baseball analogy. You don't have to have a high batting average. You just have to have a good slugging percentage. Like, right. That's what you were looking for in those. And even with a couple of misses, you got the home run, and you just needed that one. So room for improvement, ways to be better, but still pretty happy overall.
It's hard to argue about. So
yeah. I don't know if we want to be done with this game. I have some thoughts on the Buffalo Bills I would like to share.
Oh, yes. Do it. Do it.
What an absolute loser franchise. I am so sorry. I got a couple of things here. You got a head coach who's voluntarily saying that he doesn't know what the rules are. After the game, volunteering that information. That he doesn't know what a catch is. Complaining about the review process. I'm sorry, but like
insane.
Like so every single rules analyst I've seen talk about the McMillan Cooks play has said clearly an interception. And if you go by, like, we'll just break this down. The rule book is pretty, like, I think we make the catch stuff way more complicated than it needs to be because it's pretty simple in the rule book. It's a 3-step thing. It's you need to have control of the ball. That's step 1. Step 2, you need to have both feet or part of your body down in the playing surface to establish that you're within the playing surface. And then from there, it's basically do something with the ball or have control of the ball long enough that you could do something with the ball. That's basically what it boils down to.
Yep.
And the way that the NFL has always interpreted that. If a catch is made while you're falling to the ground, then the do something with the ball is just have possession of the ball long enough that you could stand back up with it. That's how they interpret it. Both players in this end up with their hands on the ball and they're in the playing surface. So like A and B, steps 1 and 2, both players get. They both fall on the ground and one of the players comes away with it. In any situation like that, whoever comes away with the ball gets possession of the ball. If the receiver does, it's a catch. If the defender does, it's an interception. And if the ball comes loose and hits the ground, that's an incompletion. It's pretty straightforward, which is why they didn't take a lot of time to review it, because it was clear. It didn't take a long review. You can immediately see all of the things that you need to from one of the angles, and you play on. It's an incredible play from McMillan on a play that effectively just ends up being an arm punt, and the Broncos
saves their season, and the game's over.
It does.
You know what I mean? Yeah.
Yeah. But for the Broncos, they're pinned deep in their own territory where the defense has a lot of opportunities to still stop them and get the ball back. I'd like to move on to the Trey White.
I will say, can I just one thing that I wanted to say about that, just to add on to it, because I had a discussion this morning with some of the coaches on the staff. We're chatting about it and asking about it. I look at it this way, right? And it's really simple. When they turned over, Brandon Cooks no longer has his hand on the football. It's completely out of his possession when they turn over. Take the defender out of the play. Pretend the defender doesn't exist. If Brandon Cooks turns over and the ball is in the air and lands on the ground, it's an incomplete pass. I don't care.
We're not even talking about it.
No one's even discussing that.
Yeah.
And so just because the defender is the one that has the ball, Cooks isn't even touching it. Now, you could make the argument, just like they did with Marcus Jones, if they come to the ground and they flip over and they both have the ball in that situation, and eventually after wrestling with it, the defender ends up with it, they give that ball to the offense because they duel anytime they catch the ball at the same time, they always give the ball to the offense. That's what they do.
Yeah. But
that's not what happened here. Cooks lost the ball somewhere in transit. And again, it was a millisecond after they hit the ground. He's not touching it. It's just
there's an angle. And there's an angle where you can clearly see exactly where he loses it and the defender takes it away, which is why you don't need an extended review for it.
Correct.
It's crystal clear on the video. There really is no debate on it based on the way it's officiated. When you combine what is the actual rules, the way they're written, combined with the quote unquote like case law of the NFL, which is just how do you interpret the written things using examples and stuff. There's really no doubt there. So for McDermott to make an ass of himself the way he did after the game in the press conference, and then following that up from the plane to call reporters to complain even more about it.
So stupid.
Yeah. And then you've got the Trey White portion of this.
Offense, in my opinion, but that's,
I think it's from a coach who knows he might get fired because he lost the game and he's trying to deflect to save it.
Right. Also,
you got Trey White.
For your point, I'm sorry, you made the point about that being a loser franchise. I was wrong about the stat of the day. Maybe this is now the stat of the day from goalie. Fun fact, the Jets over the last 30 years have more AFC Championship appearances than the Bills and the Dolphins.
Yep.
The Jets.
Yep.
Anyways, continue.
That's right. Yeah. Well, then there's the Trey White portion where you do have – so there's the first pass interference penalty, which I did not really like the call. I get why they called it. The Carlton Davis play we saw today where the defender grabs the offhand of the receiver when he's trying to catch it is something that has been a point of emphasis lately, and they've been calling a lot. And I didn't think there was enough contact there to justify a flag, but I think you can see the type of contact that would cause the official to throw it. Regardless, that doesn't matter because Joey Bosa decides that it's time to hit the quarterback well after the play.
Insane.
And the difference between those two penalties is 2 yards. The pass interference is 17. The rugging the passer would have been 15. So it really doesn't matter. And then Trey White decided it's time to get burnt at the line of scrimmage, and then in response to that, tackle the receiver with the ball in the air. Of course you're going to call that. And then to go and complain after the game and say, well, we gotta let the players play here and decide the outcome. We did, and you decided to commit a penalty, blatantly in front of the entire nation. So you've got Deion Dawkins out here tweeting still pictures of the catch thing. I'm sorry, if you were tweeting still pictures of someone trying to complete the process of a catch, you're being entirely disingenuous because that's not how this process works. You have to tell with a video. There's no other way to tell. There's a time component to possession. We're removing an entire dimension of this rule. Right. And it's just like, if you are bad calls will happen. I don't blame some of the players for just being pissed in the moment. That's fine.
Of course.
But to lose your mind to that degree and to have a total failure to take responsibility for your actions in that, it's just, and that's what losing franchises do. It's just like you have to focus. If you want to win, you have to focus on the things that you can control. And you have to stay narrowly focused on that because the other stuff will distract you. It's going to pull you out of that.
And that is the clearest sign of all that McDermott needs to go. You can't.
Well, I hope he stays as Patriots.
No, me too. But if you're the Bills owner, now I also wonder too, because I don't know how I feel about the candidates this year, and John Harbaugh's already gone off the market. Do you keep him around anyways? Because you're like, who am I going to hire? Raheem Morris? You know what I mean? Or am I going to just,
Can I throw something out here?
Sure.
So if you're the Bills and you look at the problems they've had, what you are looking for is, I do feel like someone who can drive your offense a little bit more. McDermott's a defensive coach, and their defense has failed them time and time again in big games. Typically, in these situations, especially when you got a great quarterback, franchises are going to flip on this and say, all right, well, let's try the other thing. Let's go for an offensive coach.
Right.
And you've got offensive personnel that are I do think that the talent level of the offense gets understated. The receivers are awful. The fact that you are relying on Brandon Cooks because Keon Coleman can't play, although Keon Coleman did have a nice play. He did have a nice touchdown in the game. But you're relying on these guys because you've left on so many draft picks.
Also, touchdown.
Yes.
But that's the end of it.
The tight ends are great. The offensive line is great. Your running back is great. Your quarterback is great. What you need is someone who can hopefully take that and elevate everyone across the board with the quarterback to make things work. I also think you look at the culture up there, and it does just feel like things have gotten tight the way that they have gotten close and not been able to finish.
Yep.
Pat, do you know who I'm leading this into right now? Who I think on paper is the absolute perfect candidate for the Buffalo Bills?
Sounds like the former coach of the Miami Dolphins, Mike McDaniel.
It is the former coach of the Miami Dolphins, Mike McDaniel, which will absolutely never happen for a million and one reasons. But how funny would that be?
Yeah, I mean, it'd be nuts. And I do think if you're going to keep him on as head coach, which again I think is a mistake, I would either hire Daboll or McDaniel to be your offensive coordinator. Fire Joe Brady if they haven't already done that, and start over with a different OC, and then bring in better personnel and see if you can get something going offensively. I don't know. That'd be pretty wild to imagine if McDaniel went over. I don't think they would, but that'd be pretty crazy.
Well, I do think I think you got to fire the GM. I don't think he's done an awful job, but I don't think he's been good enough.
Bad enough. Yep.
I think there are a lot of issues with the Bills this year. Like, I think the primary reason why the Bills weren't hosting a playoff game this year is because of the GM and the way they built that roster.
Yep.
I also think, like, for some reason, there's a different narrative being pushed here, but a lot of it's Josh Allen. He's being asked to cover for a lot, but if the Bills beat the Patriots in Week 5, then they end up winning the AFC East, and they're the number 2 seed. Like, that one result switches. Why do they lose that game? In large part because Allen throws a red zone pick. Yep. Why do they lose so many of the other games? Because Allen's turning the ball over, and he does it again. Which is the other thing. Like, I have no patience for you blaming the officials for a loss like that when you turn it over 5 times. And sure, if you want to complain about the pick, it's still 4 times. Man, that's not okay. And James Cook's a good running back, but he had the most fumbles in the NFL this year for any running back. And that play before the half from Josh Allen is unexplainable. And he needs to make better decisions there. And, they're only in this game, I think, because of the roster around him, and that's on the GM. They lost this game because their 2 best offensive players in James Cook and Josh Allen turned the ball over. That's why you lose. I
have no idea what Josh Allen was thinking at the end of the half. Makes no sense. Put the ball away. What are you doing? It was insane. And that's one of the things about Josh is that he's a phenomenal player, but he has those, Edelman always calls them those doy plays where you're just like, what are you doing, dude? What would possibly possess you to do that? And that's the way it goes. So it's
he gets the zoomies back there.
He does. He kind of does. It's pretty crazy. And Tony does mention if Mondre doesn't fumble on the goal line versus Pittsburgh, the AFC Championship game is in Foxborough, which is kind of crazy. However, then they would have played Buffalo last week. So they would have played Buffalo this weekend as opposed to Houston. So,
yeah. And I will say, like, we'll talk about this Denver game for a second. Denver did not necessarily look great on Saturday.
No.
I thought their offense looked decent. I thought Bo Nix looked good, and obviously he's not going to play next weekend. I do think the defense has gotten worse over time. Like, there was a point in this game where the Bills' success rate was like 99th percentile, and their offense was dominating except for the fact that they could not stop turning the ball over, which tells me if you can go up there, if you can run the ball in the Broncos, which they've been susceptible to, especially in the second half of the season, and you have a quarterback who can threaten with his legs, as long as you don't turn the ball over, you're going to score on them. I think the Texans defense is a tier or a half tier down from what Seattle's is. And I think Denver's defense is like another tier down from that. Looking at the top of the league here, I think there's some pretty significant gaps in how they play. And this Denver defense has gotten exposed at points. They did play, a good game. It's an offense with a lot of talent in it. Sean Payton is a fantastic offensive coach.
Yep.
They can dial stuff up on you. Like, I think for Denver, I think they could score 17 on offense next week, even with Stidham, because I think you can.
Oh yeah.
I think with what do you call it? Just some of those designer plays and Sean Payton and getting you in things, they can score on you.
I agree. So, yeah. I agree. By the way, shout out to Darwin watching all the way from Honduras. Thanks for tuning in. Appreciate it.
Love it.
I will say too, and Walkman mentioned this, that Bo Nix does not get credit for how well he played this year. I thought Bo Nix stinks. Every time I was like, no, Bo Nix stinks. Bo Nix stinks. And then it's like you watch him play and you're like, oh, maybe he's pretty good. I don't know. So he played extremely well this year. I was impressed with him. He played fantastic, I thought, or very well on Saturday. But, and Goalie kind of mentions it. He breaks his ankle on a play where he's like rolling out to the left on like a designed run that just clearly wasn't there. It was a bizarre play call to put your QB in harm's way in that moment. It made no sense to me. So
here's the thing. He is a good runner and he's a good athlete. So, I mean, it's just like, especially that kind of thing. It was such a freak injury.
Yeah.
I almost don't know if you can second guess it because like that felt like that could have broken on anybody. That could have happened in the pocket getting stepped on.
Of course it could have. Yeah. No, of course it could have. It was a bizarre play call. I think that the play call was a little strange, but, it's just me, but who knows?
When I think Nix is simultaneously under and overrated. He has been very good in clutch situations. I think it's clear that when the game is simpler, when it's the 2-minute drills or things like that, he can play really well. He also makes mistakes. And like Bo Nix has that Brock Purdy to him where when you put him in a system and you point and tell him, hey, throw it there, he's pretty good. And then he's also a good athlete, so he can ad-lib from there. Problem is that when he ad-libs, he'll make some of the dumbest decisions you've ever seen. And which is why he's had to lead so many comebacks for the Broncos this year. I do think he's probably the AFC equivalent to Brock Purdy at this point. Probably worse and in a worse offense.
Yes.
Not talent wise, but like Sean Payton's not as good at this as Kyle Shanahan. Shanahan's better at that part.
Right.
So like I think it's a similar type of situation. But Nix is what? Probably in the top half of all starting quarterbacks and definitely not in the top 10.
I would agree with that. Yeah, I'd agree.
Yeah,
he's probably just outside the top 10, maybe 14, 15, somewhere around there.
Yeah. And now next week, it's going to be a guy who has not thrown a pass in the NFL since 2023. The last, when Stidham started last, it was the 2 games after the Patriots-Broncos Christmas Eve game. He started the 2 after that to finish the season.
Crazy.
And that's the last time he threw a pass in the NFL. So, I do think the Broncos have a little bit of advantage probably in the first quarter because you don't know what they're doing. I don't know what they consider to be Jarrett Stidham's strengths at this point, and not knowing that, I don't know what types specifically of plays they're going to call to try to lean into that early and see if they can get something before you've caught on to what he's doing. I do think if it's a close game in the fourth quarter, I'm going to really like the Patriots odds because I think at that point you will have seen enough Stidham during the game that you have figured him out and you are going to make it work. And I also think there's a chance that the Broncos score in the first 2 or 3 drives because you have no scouting report on him whatsoever, and they're going to throw, especially in a game like this, AFC Championship game at home, trip to the Super Bowl, backup quarterback. You're everything in the kitchen sink. You're emptying the playbook on this game.
I will say one of the things that I think helps the Patriots is that he was here, and that there's a lot of scouts and personnel that were here when he was here. And so you probably have a good idea of what his strengths and weaknesses are. So you may not know exactly who he is, but I think that you have some reports on him about, who he is and what he is. And so I think that that's helpful for the Patriots when you're looking at, who is he and what type of guy is he? We could figure that out, right? He was here with Josh McDaniels in 2020. So you kind of feel like, that gives you the opportunity, that you need. Was McDaniels here in 2019?
Yeah.
Yeah, because he was here in 18 too. Yeah.
Yeah, he was here through 2021.
Yeah. Okay. All right. So I think that that's you
should have you'll have a good idea of what they viewed Stidham's strengths to be when they in that 2019 season as the backup and in 2020 as the backup. I think the question is if he has done development with the Broncos behind the scenes that you haven't seen in that time period, that's where they're probably going to try and get you.
Of course. Yeah.
So that's going to be interesting next week. I feel like we got to talk about this Bears-Rams game for a second because that was nutty. This is one of the best playoffs of all time right now.
Absolutely. It feels like every single game has been a close game and wild plays left and right. And
The worst games have been, for the most part, the ones the Patriots played.
Yeah, and the one last night was a stinker. I mean, they just got absolutely did doors.
Even that was a stinker. At least that was in an interesting way. That was a full-on blowout in the type of way that you like.
That's true.
Honestly, what the Seahawks did to the 49ers reminded me of what we've seen the Patriots do in the dynasty era coming out of the bye in that first game, where you just open a can of whoop ass on some team that is clearly worse than you at that point.
Oh yeah,
coast into the conference championship.
It's a good point. That's a good point too. So, but I mean, it just this Bears game today was incredible. The play by. That's true. It's a good point.
McDaniels traded for Stidham with the Raiders. I forgot that Stidham was in Vegas with McDaniels.
No.
So they actually
got some familiarity with him.
They probably have a good internal scout on him relative to other teams. Then that's a great point.
Yeah. Daisy said it as well. So Daisy with a husky named Daisy. It's pretty dope. I like that. But that Bears game was wild, and it just For him, right? For him at least, I looked at it and say, like, well, how many comebacks do they have this year, right? How many comebacks do they have this year where you're just like, this is their moment. This is what they do. And he throws that insane fourth down play where it's just like there's just no chance it's going to be caught, and then he catches it for a touchdown pass, and you're just like, oh my god. And then he throws the interception, and you're just like, what are you doing? And I think Collinsworth made it seem like he thought DJ Moore was going to keep running, and DJ Moore stopped.
I just saw another angle on it, and DJ Moore is jogging the entire route.
Yeah, that's rough.
Which has been, I know this has been an issue in Chicago all year long.
Yeah.
So
that's tough. The safety runs the route for him, and instead of more sprinting, the safety sprints, and it ends up as an interception instead of a completion. And what it looks like is a terrible pass by Caleb Williams. And maybe it's really the wide receiver's fault and not Caleb Williams' fault, and that's tough.
Well, the other thing with that too, even if he's not supposed to get the ball there, if he's not supposed to get that ball, that's supposed to be a clear out route. His job is going to be to occupy the safety that makes the pick and take him out of the coverage. But he's jogging, so that's not happening. It's like even if we give him a little benefit of the doubt there, that he does think he's not getting the ball, it still doesn't make sense. And I think that in that situation, they call that the love of the game route, where you're not getting the ball, but you have to run the route hard to force the defense to do something.
Right.
And just in overtime in the playoffs, man. After you've done that, to show that effort is a really, really bad look. I think that's Moore's last snap in Chicago.
I think you're probably right. And he's made some really nice plays for them this year, but overall the consistency, and again, plays like that is just you can't have it. Just absolutely cannot have it.
Yep.
So
going back to the play to force overtime. That's the kind of play your buddy makes in Madden against you, and you're just so mad because you're like, that doesn't happen. Like, no, like a quarterback can't do that, can't sprint 20 yards backwards and heave it into the end zone. Like they don't have the athleticism for that. Yet Caleb Williams just does it. Also, underrated aspect of that is how the Rams DB had no ability to track the football.
It was insane. It was I thought it was 100% OPI. I'm like, how is he possibly that wide open? And it's like, nah, not really OPI. I mean, I know they're hand fighting a little bit, but it's not that bad. And all of a sudden, like, he's by himself. It's like, how's that even possible? It's crazy.
He just that was me in center field in like fourth grade. But I didn't. That's why I didn't.
Well, honestly, Williams reminds me a lot of Josh Allen. Because he has these splash plays where he makes plays that you're just like, how in the world did he ever do that? You feel like they're never done, right? They're never dead. Yeah. They come back. They have these crazy wins. They have these crazy games where they, make an insane play to win the game at the end of the game. But it's like, then he also has those back-breaking turnovers that just kill you. And if he's Josh Allen, he's way ahead of where Josh Allen was in year 2. So, he's got a great offensive coordinator. I think he's going to continue to grow. But again, it's like one of the things that I love about what May has done this year is he makes those easy plays, right? At the end of the game, when they had the ball, 3rd and 6, near the goal line. I think it was in the goal line. No, 3rd and 6 before. Well, I guess it was. I guess it was as they were going in to score. It may have actually been the play before the Caleb Williams, the crazy throw. He's got Luther Burden wide open in the flat, and he just missed him. And not the flat. He's got him, for a first down, and he just missed him. Throws it high, and it's just like you got to have that throw. That throw's got to be there, and he's a little bit too bad. So,
yep.
I think that's something he's going to have to work on, and I think he'll get better at it. But he reminds me a lot of Josh Allen in the fact that he just he has those plays. You're like, oh my God, it's crazy.
He's Josh Allen, but in maybe it's like Josh Allen in Kyler Murray's body, but with 120% of the athleticism.
in right, comparatively speaking, he's in Kyler Murray's body because Josh Allen's like a freak, and he's 6'5", 280, and Caleb Williams is only 6'1". But yes, in actuality, he's significantly bigger than Kyler Murray. But comparatively speaking, yes, he's in Kyler Murray's body.
I think Caleb Williams is what Brock Purdy thinks he is.
That's a great way to put it like that. So
just in terms of because Brock Purdy has that Josh Allen brain.
He does.
Just a much worse athlete, which sometimes constrains him from doing the dumb stuff.
I would agree.
His body can't do the things.
I would agree.
But yeah, this
is Josh Allen in Mahomes' body. That's
similar, a little bit smaller Mahomes.
Yeah.
But yeah, this is going to be a very fun championship weekend.
It sure is.
Forward to this now, and there's a chance that we get 2 blowouts here, but especially based on that, if the Seattle team that we saw Saturday night,
oh my God, if they're
winning the Super Bowl and they might not play a game decided by less than 3 touchdowns.
Yeah.
I will say the issue with the Seahawks is that team, you think they're the best team in football, and yet they also have a trapdoor. And it's just the entire team, the entire hopes of the city of Seattle could fall out a trapdoor named Sam Darnold at any point. And I will say, I think if you're the Patriots and you have some optimism here, I think you might in some ways prefer playing Seattle in the Super Bowl if you get to that point, because this defense has been giving people fits right now. And if you can keep that game close where Darnold has to throw the ball, you might fool him, and you might get something out of it. Now, if we're talking about that matchup, one thing the Patriots are going to have to be better about, and they're going to have to be better about next week too, going against Gillette Stadium, got to take advantage of turnovers.
Mm-hmm.
I don't, other than the pick 6, I think the Patriots didn't have a single point off turnovers today. All of those things.
Pretty sure one of them led to a field goal. I'm fairly certain.
Late? Well, the Patriots had 28 points, so there were no field goals in this one.
Oh, yeah, you idiot. Right. You're right.
Yeah. None of them led to points. And so they were basically all glorified punts, which is good. It's good to get the offense off the field, but one of the big benefits of a turnover is that you should be getting the ball in better field position than if you got it off of a punt. So you'd like to at least be getting 3 points out of those drives. And you do get the pick 6, which is nice, but next week against a young quarterback, I think I'd be disappointed if you don't force turnovers next week.
Mm-hmm.
And against a good defense, but a defense not as good as the Houston one, I would like to see them actually cash in on those. Because I think if you do that next week, instead of throws 2 or 3 picks and you cash in on those, the game could be put away at halftime or at least the end of the third quarter.
I agree. By the way, on your Sam Darnold point, 12 for 17 for 124 yards and 1 touchdown. That was his stats last night.
Didn't have to do much, and that's their
41-6 was the final.
Yeah, and Darnold's not a bad quarterback. He's kind of like a lot of the other guys we've talked about. He's a good athlete. He can extend plays, and if you tell him where to throw the ball, he's going to make that throw. He's a very athletic guy.
Yeah.
If you put him in a position where he's going to play from behind and he has to consistently make a lot of throws against a defense that can scheme things up, that's your hope of beating him.
Correct.
And that's your hope of beating this entire Seattle offense. The entire thing is designed around the idea that you feel like you have to stop the run, and we're going to use that against you to throw behind you.
100%.
So we'll see if the Rams are able to stop that this week. I do think if the Patriots get through, either Super Bowl matchup here is appealing. You're either getting the 2014 rematch and another really fun May versus defense matchup, or you're getting Patriots Rams in a third decade. And it's becoming one of the, like, you know, we think about like Steelers Cowboys. It's one of those like quintessential like NFL Super Bowl matchups. If you get Patriots Rams, this might become one of those where in 20, 30 years when kids are growing up and they're learning about the history of the league and things that happen, it's like, oh, remember all those good Patriots Rams Super Bowls and those franchises?
Yeah, it's true. It's true. I will say, if the Patriots somehow get through, if the Patriots get through and they play Seattle, I think it would be arguably the most challenging slate of all time, just from a defensive perspective, right? You're talking about playing 4 of the top 5 defenses in the NFL on your Super Bowl drive. If they were to somehow win the Super Bowl in that situation, they'd have an argument for arguably the greatest offense of all time when you look at just what they were able to do in those situations against those teams. Because regardless of what the QB situation was, obviously, you know, the offense in LA is banged up. The offense in Houston is banged up. But it's like those defenses are legit. This defense next week is legit. I understand the quarterback's hurt, but like that's a really good defense. And then if they play Seattle, their defense is incredible as well. And so, you know, it's one of those things where it's like, yeah, sure. Like maybe they, you know, some things broke their way as far as, you know, health of you know, the guys out there and so on and so forth. But it's like to play those defenses to come away with wins is still impressive. And so, you know, it's one of those things that I look at and say, that'd be really cool. That'd be fun to have happen. So we'll see. Long way to go. But, you know, but we'll see what happens there. I also, before we go, you got anything else that you want to talk about?
Only one quick note, which we'll dive into deeper when we do our Pats Broncos preview.
Yes.
But of these top defenses, the Broncos are far and away the worst at forcing turnovers this year. What we saw yesterday was an aberration for them on the season. And I do think a number of those plays were like Bills players doing stupid things. So, like, yeah, not necessarily the defense taking things away. The McMillan play was sensational, but
yes,
Cook fumbling and Allen throwing a ball on the ground, like that's not the defense. So unless you get another uncharacteristic performance like that in May, with what he's done to the pocket so far this postseason in terms of holding onto the ball is an issue right now. But you should be able to control the ball a lot better this upcoming Sunday than the previous two, and honestly, either team you would face in a Super Bowl matchup.
Yeah, I agree. It's a good point. Quick question here by Connor. The game is tomorrow night. National championship game, Miami or Indiana? Who do you got, Matt?
Indiana. I mean, they have just been unbelievable this year. I'm not picking against them.
They've been a wagon, an absolute wagon. I am excited. This is one of those situations where it's like Miami's got the best defense in the country. You know, is there a chance that Miami comes out and is able to stop that offense? Indiana's looked like they're unstoppable right now. I am really interested to see what's going to happen there. So I'm hoping for a good game, but you know, I think that they said that, what did they say? Indiana is the first team since like the 30s to score 55 plus points and win by 30 plus in 3 games in a season. It's just like they don't want to beat you. They want to murder you. They want to like just absolutely take your will and destroy you. And they're going to want to do the same thing to Miami. The question is Miami going to be able to stop that? So it should be a really fun matchup. I'm with you, though. I don't know how you pick against Indiana. I just don't know how you do it. But maybe Miami can pull it out. You never know.
Agreed. And one last note on the game. I don't know if you saw the post-game stuff or like the Vrabel meeting everyone going into the locker room.
I didn't see any of those things.
The best one, he and Jalen Hawkins, awesome.
Really?
Hawkins, like they are like hugging each other, and I think they did like a chest bump or something.
That's so good.
Hawkins was fire in the Dubs video they do where they get all the players coming off the field too. He was fired up. We talked about what the safety group's going to look like going forward, and Hawkins and Woodson together have played very well.
I think they have. Yeah, I think those are the guys moving forward right now. And maybe you draft a third guy, to kind of be a guy that can be a rotational piece for them in the third, fourth round again. But I think that I'm pretty happy with those two.
And if Marcus Jones and Carlton Davis are your worst guys in the secondary, or your worst corners at least, you're pretty good about where you are.
It's pretty good.
Yeah, this defense is coming together at the right time. And then the other note on that, we talked about how we liked last year Mayo keeping the old traditions, and I do think it's nice that this group has their own now. I've come around on that big time. We got Vrabel in the locker room. They call out specific plays and players that they like, and they do like the one clap for each thing.
Yep.
I like that a lot. You got May starting to take more of a leadership role in the locker room, which you needed from him. And it's funny, you got him breaking down the huddle. That's something that even like Brady never really did that. That's something I think that's, a lot of times the defensive or special teams guys did that back in the day. So it's fun to have May stepping into that role. And it's clear this team has an identity. They have a culture. They really like playing together. It's a fun group. The slogan, we all we got, we all we need. These guys are fully bought in on that. And I'm not going to say we're playing with house money at this point. You're 120 minutes away from being Super Bowl champions right now. I don't care about house money right now. I care about winning that.
Correct.
But I do want to call out at this point. It's a fun group. It's been a hell of a season. It's been a highly entertaining, and we'll see where the story takes us here. But it's highly satisfying season thus far.
What I'll say, the big thing that I'll leave you on, is that if they lose on Sunday, I will be very disappointed.
Yes.
Because I think they should win.
Yes.
I'll be very disappointed if they lose that game. However, the season as a whole has been a monumental success compared to where we thought they were going to be. They have pushed themselves so much further than where we thought they were going to be. And unlike Washington last year, I think they're set up to continue that with the guys that they have in the locker room. Now, again, we'll see what happens as far as holdouts and money and free agents and so on and so forth and everything else, right? And injuries and everything. But I think that they're set up for a long time. And I just think, what they've done is fantastic. Now they just got to go out and win another game. Win another game, get us the Super Bowl, and it's one game. Anyone can win, even if it's Seattle. So I can't wait. I'm so excited about it. So we'll see.
Next Sunday, 3:00.
Yep. Same bad time, same bad channel. Of course, it's not on ESPN, but you get the point. Same time, 3:00 again. So
and all these, their third AFC Championship in Denver, all of them have been the 3:00 slot too. They keep getting this early slot because it's in the odd years. So, and then you win that one. We're all sitting back the rest of the night just to see who we play in the Super Bowl, which is a fantastic feeling.
Sure is. So we'll see. All right, anyways, well, we just past midnight. So thanks to everyone for tuning in. We appreciate you guys. It's been a fun season. It's not over yet. We got next weekend, so we'll be back with you on Thursday night talking about the AFC Championship game in Denver, Patriots versus Broncos. Enjoy. Have a good night. Be safe on the roads if you guys are in New England and you're dealing with the snow. Be good to each other.